The Ghana Road Safety Authority has declared it will drag the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority to court following the tragic crash that claimed 35 lives. Many more victims of the crash remain at the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, some in critical condition. The casualties included an 8-month-old baby whose parents were also killed in the accident at Dompoase on the Cape Coast Takoradi Highway on Tuesday. Some families on Thursday went for their dead relatives from the Cape Coast Hospital, and we also know that this afternoon the Minister for Roads has been there. He's been talking and explaining what can be done about this situation. Before we go on that one, Richard Kojonyako has more.
The Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. This is the hospital that has been the center of attraction as far as this accident that claimed 34 lives is concerned. The survivors were brought here. Some find themselves at the pediatric ward. Others are at the male and the female surgical wards. They are being operated upon because they sustained serious degrees of injuries. They were in very critical condition. 37, we understand, have been treated and discharged so far. We are left with 20 currently being worked on at this very hospital. The most important and the critical issue is about the two siblings who have lost their parents. Remember, in the world of these two children, they believe that their parents and their sibling exist. The hospital has not broken the news to them because it's been one hell of a time to the other. They've engaged the services of a psychologist who started work today and has been working on them. They say that the behavior of these two would require time for them to really break the news of the death of their parent and their sibling. This morning, the children have been agitating to see 8-month-old baby Adepa. According to them, if they cannot see their parents and their peer parents cannot come to the world to see them, they want to see at least their sister. And so that is what they've been clamoring for. The hospital has taken a decision not to bill any of these surviving passengers who were involved in the accident. They are working on with the authorities to absorb the cost in this accident. Behind me is the mortuary of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. The dead were brought here, 34 of them, including 3 children. Family members or relatives of these people have been pouring in and they have come to identify them. So far, we've been told that 5 of them are yet to be identified. And so all of them have been identified with the exception of 5 of them. They are still waiting for family relations to identify them so that they can pick the bodies and then send to their various destinations. We also understand that 16 of their bodies have been picked by their families and they have traveled to their various destinations with them. From the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital, my name is Richard Kojonyako for JoyNews.
Richard Kojonyako joins me on the line with more. Hello, Richard.
Hi, Gifty.
Richard, we know that the minister has been there today. The roads minister has been there today. Let's begin with him. What did he do on his trip there?
Well, so it wasn't only the roads minister, but the transport minister as well. The 2 of them traveled from Accra to visit the accident scene. They looked at what exactly happened. They were briefed by the regional police commander who threw more light on the investigations that have been done. According to him, they've done some thorough and extensive investigations such that what they have picked, discredit what the driver who survived told them. According to the regional police commander, there is no truth in the fact that there was a stationary vehicle, and as a result of that, the driver who was driving the red vehicle decided to get off the road to avoid that. Secondly, it isn't also true that there was a trailer that ran on the victims of the accident after the accident, and so that is why he was put before court today and then has been remanded to reappear on the 31st of January this year.
And whilst we're at this, we know that the minister, the roads minister, did make some announcement about what the ministry plans to do with that particular road. Tell us what exactly he wants to do and why he thinks that will solve the problem.
So he says that cabinet has agreed and would execute the dualization all the major highways across the country, beginning with the road from Accra, Cape Coast, and Takoradi up to Tapa. So it's in their plan, and they will be implementing that one. But he said it takes a very long time to undertake such an exercise, and so the appeal he made was to the drivers to exercise the greatest level of caution when they are driving on the road. He explains the reason why this government wants to dualize the road as that if there is an accident, the impact would be minimized, such that we wouldn't have this number of people dying as a result of accidents, and then the number of people that would get injured as a result of the accident. So that was the explanation to why government intends dualizing the Accra, Cape Coast, Takoradi, and then the Tapa Highway.
Are there any timelines the minister is giving for us to, follow or track the delivery?
He said that when they met during the cabinet meeting recently, and then I understand that the cabinet meeting was done on Wednesday, so it was after the accident had come, and then there's been a lot of talk about it. That is why I think this implementation of this plan would come through. So no timelines have been given, but he said that they are going to execute this one within the shortest possible time, but it will take a long time for them to complete or to actualize this decision they have taken.
Let's look at the children who are being handled by the psychologist. You indicated in your report yesterday that the psychologists are handling them, but did the minister get to meet with them or speak with them?
Yes. So right after the accident scene, we were headed for the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. These two children were the first to be visited. They were at the pediatric wards of the Cape Coast Teaching Hospital. But before they entered, the hospital officials who were at that ward indicated to them that they are yet to announce the death of their parents and then their siblings to them. So there shouldn't be any indication whatsoever to them to know that indeed their parents are gone and their 8-month-old sibling is also gone. So they entered, they had some conversation with the children, and then they left the place. So that was the only thing they did. After that, they were briefed by the hospital CEO, Dr. Eric Njedu, who gave some of the statistics that are there, that 5 more bodies are left to be identified. Meanwhile, I think they are left with 3 more bodies that are yet to be picked by their respective families. And he said that those that are currently on admission, about 16 of them, because of the nature of their injuries, they would require more time and more surgery. Some kind of extensive surgery on them before they could discharge them. You remember that the driver, who is currently in police custody, as of yesterday in the morning, was also on admission. He was discharged, and immediately after he was discharged, he was picked up by the police to go and answer those questions. So he's been held, and then will assist the police to do further investigation.
And while they do further investigations, at this point as we speak, what is happening?
What is happening is that the hospital says that they are not going to bill any of the survivors of this accident with any cost of the operations and the surgeries they are doing. Government says that they will also assist in the payment of the bill that will accrue at the hospital. So what the hospital is calling for is for families of the 5 bodies that are left to come quickly, identify them, go through the necessary processes so that the bodies will be released. The bodies will be released to them for them to go and then bury them. And so that is really what the hospital has been saying. But left to the psychologists say they are still working on the children because they've been agitating to see their parents and their siblings. But they said that it will require more time because they also sustain some critical injuries, and so they need to work on them, and gradually the news will be broken to them.
Finally, Richard, before you go, as we speak, it looks like there's some progress that the psychologists are handling the girls. The minister has indicated what government's plans are. What else has he been doing? If he hasn't done already, what are his further plans as he and the other ministers, including the Central Regional Minister, stay in the area?
So let me brief you on what the Transport Minister said when we went to the scene. He said that yes, the Ghanaians can blame government for what they have not done, their actions and inactions regarding the road transport and the others. But he's imploring on the media to dedicate some time to the education of our drivers, because they carry, especially the commercial vehicles, they carry people on the various stretches across the country on a daily basis. And so the need for the media persons who are in Ghana to also devote more time to educate such people, because they account for the number of injuries and the deaths that are recorded on our roads on a daily basis. They say that what happened was indeed as a result of a human, as a result of some human factors. According to the roads minister, the road has nothing that could contribute to this accident happen, because it was a straight road, and at the end of the straight road there is a curve. The markings and everything is there. Everything that a good road should have, that road has it. So they do not understand why an accident or a lot of accidents should happen on that road. And so that is why he's asked for further education and sensitization of drivers, and he is also asking passengers who board vehicles to also make sure that they talk to the drivers when they are speeding on the road.
Richard, thank you very much for that update. We'll come to you as and when there's any further development on this story. Richard Kojo Nyako is our Central Regional Correspondent.